Hi, this is Rick Paris, and welcome to the Conscious Reality Creator. Today, we're going to talk about self-pity because I'm seeing a lot of it right now. I'm also going to be talking about the 3 reality creation tools in this video for a moment, because you have to understand, if you don't take responsibility for your experience, if you're not utilizing desire, expectation, and imagination fully, chances are you're going to feel self-pity. Self-pity is an epidemic. Self-pity is an anesthetic. Self-pity is a way to numb yourself. And for a child, it's genius, because I'm in a lot of pain. People aren't loving me the right way. I'm not getting what I want half the time. I've got to come up with a way to assuage the pain that I'm going through. And self-pity does that. Self-pity, people can be addicted to self-pity when they're born. If your mother was feeling sorry for herself at, I'm pregnant and I don't feel good and all these things, well, just like with drugs, the child can come out with a drug addiction. If you are addicted to self-pity, your child can come out with a self-pity addiction. Matter of fact, my own son, I watch him so dramatic with what he does, and he's a year old. I could see he already is utilizing self-pity. You see, like when people are chronically in self-pity, you can be in self-pity chronically. Like if I'm addicted to self-pity from my mother, I'm going to always be going after the drug because I don't want to feel, I don't want to know, I don't want to change. My father is this way. I haven't talked to my father in 12 years because my father believes, no, this is the way I fucking am. You either accept me for the way I am or move on. I don't need you. The arrogance of that I'm not going to change. I don't need to change. Why don't you create that I'm a better person? That's the arrogance of self-pity, right? So other people, I don't need to change. I'm perfect just the way I am. You change. So many people are doing that right now. So you can be emotionally addicted to it. And let's say maybe my mom didn't addict me in the womb, but I was raised by an adolescent. I was taught you have to manipulate people if you're going to get what you want, because you're just not going to ask. You just can't ask for it. It's too hard to ask. It's too vulnerable to ask. It's so much easier to try to manipulate. If you're shame-based, if you got a tremendous amount of shame in your child, everybody has shame, but shame-based means that I am always, everything I do, feeling not good enough. Those people are in self-pity constantly because they have to numb. They're just trying to numb that pain. I'm just trying to numb pain, and so the shame in my past was too great. Not too great, really, but to me it's too great for me to deal with, and I'm not going to change. I want to stay the same. So I feel sorry for myself constantly that I'm not good enough. So what does self-pity do to you? It's an anesthetic, so it numbs you. It also blinds you to what's going on around you. That's why you'll buy into whatever's going on, because you're not taking responsibility for what's going on. You see, a lot of people think, no, this is happening. This is what happened. I'm telling you, it happens to me all the time, because you're not recognizing self-pity creates that reality. That reality is not a function of things happening to you. They're a function of self-pity. Self-pity causes you to go into control. How many people are constantly walking around silently upset, like, I need help right now, but I'm not going to ask for it, because I would have to feel love if I ask for help. So I'm just going to wait for somebody to recognize that I'm struggling and I'm in pain, and I'm going to grunt, and when I'm trying to pick something up, it's hard. And when I'm trying to do something, someone's got my attention in 2 places at once, it's hard. And you're not responding, you're in overwhelm, you're not understanding that I need to understand how to respond. And again, if I don't have a set of values, it makes it even more difficult. We've also given you how to be a spiritual adult and why these values are very important, and maybe that link should show up. You cannot be responsible when you're in self-pity. You're non-responsive when you're in self-pity. You want to stay the same. You are trying to stay the same, and you're wanting other people or something else to change your life. You want some politician to make it better. You want some authority to make it better. When you're in this place, you are so numb and you're so disconnected that magic and miracles cannot come in. It separates you from your divinity, your connection to your higher self, your connection to your soul, your connection to love, your connection to God. You can't hear that when you're in there like demanding that somebody else help me or at least understand why I'm like this. Why? You know, like you go to a party and you tell everybody what a shitty week you had and how hard it is and I'm going to lose my car. And everyone's like, oh yeah. And you're like, give it to me. Feel sorry for me. Maybe you could help me. Maybe you have a way that maybe you'll suggest something to me that could help me. But really all you want is them to feel sorry for you too. So self-pity has a lot of forms, has a lot of ways of being. I mean, just think about how many times in your life did you feel someone ripped your self-esteem, ripped your femininity, ripped your masculinity? Wasn't it often someone in self-pity? Someone that was feeling completely misunderstood and unappreciated and thought it was completely fine to rip you up and down. Because people in self-pity and martyrs want to punish. That's all they want to do because they're not getting what they want and they're so angry about it and they're so numb to what they're actually doing that they're in an addictive pattern. And I can feel my energy is getting like, I'm sorry about that. I really want to be here to help you understand. And I'd like to just try to bring it to more light, you know, to add, because if you're in self-pity, you're hurting people. You're hurting everyone that you think like deserves it. You think they deserve it because you're hurting. You're not getting what you want. And it's just a sad place for people to be. And it's, you know, I see people do it in my life too. And it's not easy to have love and compassion for a person who's punishing you. And so you can't go into self-pity because the person you love is in self-pity. But you also don't need to be manipulated by them either. If they're being weak and they say, I need help, and you say, what can I do? I don't know, I just need help. They're in self-pity. And what's happening is they want help, but they won't ask. They won't be specific and ask because they're looking to stay in self-pity. They're not looking to get out. And one of the fastest ways to get out of self-pity is to remember the love. If your relationship isn't going good because you're trying to punish somebody because they didn't give you what you want or they didn't recognize how stressed out you were when they got home today. And so now you're going to disconnect and be like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. And then the old sigh, right? You always hear that big sigh. When you hear a big sigh after, 9 times out of 10, they're in self-pity. And that's letting go of my power. Settling down into that numbness. Out of your expectation, your imagination, and your desire, and this is the link if you need to know more about that. Out of those 3 tools, they're the only tools that you're creating reality with. And of course, most people aren't conscious of that, so they don't understand. So I'm going to tell you, expectation is a feminine attribute, but I feel many times I like to view it as a masculine energy because it's very light, it's very dynamic, it's very, your expectations go all over the map in a very short amount of time. But your emotions take longer to move up and down the spectrum. Your imagination takes longer for you to really imagine unless you're in a pattern of self-pity. You'll go after the pattern and you won't take responsibility anymore. Self-pity is really a way to not take responsibility. So if your expectation is on an upswing, So we're just going to say that's moving up. I'm engaging it. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm expecting. And my desire is on an upswing. And my imagination is on an upswing. You will get that reality. You will. Now, because expectation is the thing that's super fluid, I'm more focused on expectation in this discussion. I'm not going to go through all the permutations of that, but the most important permutations are 6. 3 ways if your expectation is going up, and my emotions can be going up, down, or side, or stay the same. Same if my expectation goes down, my emotions and my imagination, let's say, will go up, go down, or stay the same. If all 3 of these things go down, you're in deep victimhood. You're a victim all day long right now. You're not imagining a better way to be. You're not desiring anything, and you totally are expecting the worst. That's victim. And you are in self-pity 100% when you're coming from there. Because all people in self-pity are basically punishing everyone because you're not getting what you want. I'm not getting what I'm not focused on what I want at all, but I think I should be getting it by feeling sorry for myself. Because I'm manipulating with weakness. That's really what you're trying, like a little kid. I need to look weak, and I need to look like I can't do it so somebody will help me. Please, God, please help me, right? These kind of energies, right? So let's say if my expectation goes up and my imagination and my desire stay the same, that situation creates the emotionality of, this is too good to be true. Oh my God, oh my God. But if my imagination and my desire stay the same, there's no fuel to that reality, and my expectation can't float by itself. And so I feel sorry for myself. And I'm like, God, I had that great thing happening and it didn't happen to me. Poor me. Boom, I'm in self-pity. Now, if your expectation is going up and your imagination and desire are going down, you are in anxiety when that happens. And you are most likely in overwhelm. Because my expectation is up, but I'm not feeling supported at all. So this separation happens, and it creates a lot of anxiety because I'm not really imagining it going anywhere. It's kind of like reframing. I'm just going to have this. Even though inside I'm imagining and not feeling any of this. I'm trying to make it happen, but I'm in anxiety while I'm doing so. And overwhelm. And this is a very powerful thing to understand. If you say, I'm overwhelmed, you must understand that you're unwilling to change. You want to stay the same when you say, I'm in overwhelm. And psychology came up with this terminology, and everybody uses it. I'm overwhelmed. You're in pity. You're feeling sorry for yourself that you cannot make the changes that I need to make, or I'm not willing to make those changes right now. So let's say your expectation goes down and your imagination and your desire goes up. That can stop the free fall that's happening in your life, that my expectations aren't up there. If I don't have the greatest expectation, but I can imagine it working out and I can get behind that emotionally, I can stop a free fall. I can stop the anxiety. If your expectation goes down and your imagination and desire stay the same, that's when you're stubborn. I'm feeling stubborn right now because I am not going to change. My expectations dropped, but I'm not really getting fed. So what it makes you want to do is try to hold your position. I'm trying to hang on to what is. And so I get stubborn. I get separated. You're disconnected. You're disconnected because my expectations are going down and my emotions are static. So I'm in a static position, technically. So you're weighted in reality. If you don't know that these 3 tools are what drive reality, I have a 67% chance of everything that goes on in my life feeling sorry for myself. You have to honestly look at the things I just said. If you're doing those things, just own it. Just stop. You're in self-pity. Learn to use the tools of reality creating. You won't, by just using those tools and coming from a place of value, much less likely go into self-pity because you're going to notice. You're going to be feeling good. And when I feel so shitty so fast, I realize, oh, my expectation is jumping all over the place. And so expectation has a tremendous influence on your emotional states. It has a tremendous influence on how do I imagine. If I don't see a future, I'm going to imagine a lesser one. You have to imagine something. Self-pity is going to make you imagine a lesser one. One of the most powerful ways to get out of self-pity is honestly ask for what you want. You're going to receive it. Chances are people are going to give it to you. Don't say, oh, I don't have enough money to pay my bills. And you're talking to a person who has lots of money because you're really hoping while I'm in this conversation, you might just pay my bills for me or pay for it, or you might just help me somehow. So I'm sitting over here talking about how bad my life is. And you know how I try so hard all the time. And it's that tragic hero is a person in self-pity. You're in self-pity. You're doing everything right, but it just doesn't work out for me. The reason your life doesn't work out is because of the self-pity. Self-pity is the root at most of your problems. I just want to say that again. Just tell yourself the truth and say, I have to stop doing this because I'm screwing my life up like crazy town. That was a perfectly legitimate thing for a child and an adolescent to do, and it's the worst thing ever for a spiritual adult to be doing to themselves. Love is the antithesis to this. If you can remember the love and go back to love, you'll pop right out of self-pity. You can also ask for help. If you ask for help and you receive, you have to feel love to receive. This is why a lot of people in self-pity want to manipulate. They don't want to feel the love. They're numb. They can't really feel the love. You have to push yourself to feel the love. Go into meditation. Ask my higher self, I need help. Not like, please help me. I don't know. No, you have the right to ask for help from God. God is all it is. It is your birthright to receive help. But not like, help me. No, I'd like help. I need some help. And this is the help that I would like. You see, you can't be in self-pity and ask that way. I made this video because I want to help you grow and change. I like to contribute in this way. And the way out is the first step to change. Recognize. You have to recognize, am I numb? Am I angry? Do I want to punish people? You're in self-pity. So just, if you could recognize that and then remember the love. Just the first part is just to recognize you're numb, because of course when I'm numb, I did that on purpose so I don't have to respond anymore appropriately, lovingly. So when I can recognize, yeah, am I numb? Am I in control? Am I not being responsible with my reality? You know, am I wanting to stay the same? Am I separated from everything? Then I can go in and try to remember the love. Try to figure out, what do I want right now? And can I specifically ask the appropriate person, if it's a person, for help? Or even myself, my guides, God, whatever, but to come and ask. And so I really want to help change things, and I think this is a huge piece to end some of the pain that I see going on right now.